embarrass the shit out of him. And we did. And then we threw 2 more rolls, like a little Warrior show. And then I think Logan Block had heard about it and came up with the idea to make it like the Jimmy Rape thing. Although Chachi had no idea about Jimmy Rape, from my knowledge.
Probably not. Now, this start, if I remember correctly, this started at the outdoor show on the Staten Island Pee Wee football field?
The first show I threw it at was at FBW in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It was 1 roll, and then my friend and I had threw 2 rolls, at the end of the light show.
Mm-hmm.
I believe made up for that was Chris Taylor versus Tony Nese.
Right.
And he was literally up. You could see it. He was really pissed. He wanted to actually fight me. I refused to fight the guy. I don't dislike him. I'm not going to fight him.
It's just a subtle way of saying.
My life, not throwing out.
It's a subtle way of saying that your wrestling skills are shitty.
I mean, yeah. We you've also learned in time that we have to be, I won't say nice, but we have to put things in a more journalistic way if we're going to be negative. Not just, oh, this guy sucks, he can't wrestle.
Right. Like we don't want to just say things for the sake of saying them. We always say things and back them up. We're not being mean to be mean. We're being mean we're being honest because that's our opinion. We talk about what we like to see and what we don't.
And it's funny because I seen you guys, like I met you guys at the last, it was the double show with Valkyrie and Warriors of Wrestling, and you guys sit in the crowd and you're very calm and quiet. It's like the calm before the storm. Because then I watched your show and then you were like just dissecting and like it was hilarious, and I was like, it's not even the same 2 guys that are at the show. You guys are just sitting there, relaxed. You got a chant here, a chant there. You're clapping, and then like a day later, you're like, "Oh my god, that guy sucked." And it was just like, I was like, "Are these the same 2 guys?" It is pretty funny.
It's funny because like we kind of go through this all the time. That where do we draw the line as journalists now and as fans? Because we don't like sitting in the. I feel like maybe we shouldn't be chanting. We did it, to be nice because, like, we don't want to wrestle with no heat. It sucks. So we want to be good fans as well. So there was a fine line we're starting to walk.
Well, I think you can't be a journalist without being a fan, though. I think that you can't sit there and go and critique something if you don't first love it. And I think that we love it and we understand it to the extent we understand it. Right? We're not workers.
Right.
So there are things that we don't know, but as far as we understand it, we make sure that we are participants in the show as fans, as well as then talk about it after.
Well, I mean like you said, you have to. I would, you got to be a fan because you got to love what you do, and if this is something that you did for like a living 7 days a week, as a member of the press. I worked for Major League Baseball for 6 years in the press department, and, I seen people that absolutely hated their job. And here I am sitting there, and I'm like, how the hell do you hate watching baseball? I'm like, you're getting paid to watch baseball. I'm like, really? I'm like, how many people would kill for this job? And you're sitting here and you're bitching and whining and crying. So, I mean, I switch it around and, I do the same thing for, like, wrestling, and I'm like, you know what? I'm covering wrestling. These promoters are inviting me to their shows to cover their product. They're treating me like family. They're, hooking my guys up that come to the shows with us. And, of course I'm going to love what I'm doing. If I hated it, why would I be doing it? So, I can totally understand what you guys mean about, about understanding the business, but the fine line of knowing what side of the line you're on. We're on the other side of the railing, and we know our place.
Well, wait. Let's go to the next question. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Damn it.
I think it has been hard because when we come to shows, people notice in the crowd, wrestlers and other fans, and fans will come up to us and say, "Oh, I watched your show," and I think it does. The wrestlers do come up and talk to us and do say, "Oh, I hope you give me that good review," and so we are very much on that line, and it's hard sometimes because we might see someone that we like or that we like personally who had a crappy match. And how do we talk about this? How do we not offend this person because they're our friend or we're friendly with them? And so it has become hard in some ways.
Especially when you're too close to the talent, it's really hard. And if you go to like a company that you're close to and the show isn't good, and you go, how do we put this in a way that doesn't offend them and give us heat?
Yeah,
and now,
unfortunately, you just got to be honest. You have to, because if you're not honest, people who are listening to your show are going to take your word for it. So if you sugarcoat it, then they go to another show and they watch what you were reporting on, and they're like, "Wow, this is really, really bad. Like, how did Joey say this was a great show?" Now your word is worthless, so you lose that power.
The Tachi era you told me with Tony B, when you told him up, you said, "Well, I can't say good things because then my word is bad. If look at this guy wrestle."
Yeah, and it's your word. How do you expect anybody to take you seriously if you're sugarcoating it? You have to. I told Joey B the same thing. The first show I ever went to, I saw Chachi take on Stevie Richards, and it was
awful. You were there,
absolutely awful, and I said it right. I think Nick was on the show. That
yeah,
night.
Exactly.
Absolutely awful, and I felt bad for Stevie Richards because he had such a disgusted look on his face, like I have to work with this guy, and and Joe was like, "Wow, man," he was like, "You were like really harsh." I'm like, "Bro," I have to be. I'm like, I can't say that was a great match. And then someone sees Chachi the following week fighting, so and so, and it's terrible. They're gonna be like, "What the hell? Kevin doesn't know what the hell he's talking about." But
we are slowly learning that there is the journalistic way of being critical.
Yeah,
there's a way of being diplomatic where you don't bury the person, and that was something that we did originally, where we would bury people, and now we know how to not do that.
It's just certain words.
Would you agree, or would you just say no? Just go with how you feel. Just go with your gut instinct. Just be yourself and say, "Oh, shitty wrestler, shitty, awful."
No. I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. I mean, there's certain words that you can use during your recaps that it'll pique someone's their interest while they're listening to you, and they'll understand. I mean, you don't have to say he was terrible. You could just say, so and so must have been having an off night because it got a little messy there, and people understand that. All right, it must have been a couple botched moves here, botched move there, but I covered an on point event, and some kid Mikey Hits from Philadelphia. And his match was awful. I mean, he missed every bit, every move, and I was calling him hit or miss by the end of the show. And it's funny because I got more feedback from his friends that were laughing because I was like abusing him. And you know what? Hopefully it made him look in the mirror and say, you know what? I need to work on my craft a little bit better. I can't go out there and stink up the joint.
So
that's the only way you improve.
I just want a really bad review before we review the show. Excuse me, Kevin. I know it's 2 a.m, but hopefully you're up. Right. Not just a snooze fest. What do we do?
Yeah, I mean,
ultimately, even as mean as we can be, we're not trying to say, don't go to this promotion or don't watch this wrestler. We really talk about like we admit when we're wrong. Like we start out like Magma, for example, in FSW. Like at first he hated him, right? And now he's grown on us, and we admit that all the time on our show. So we don't believe in we don't want people to be put out of business or wrestlers to stop doing what they love. We demand a high standard, right, as fans and as journalists. But we're not trying to harm people and get them out of business.
But, Kevin, I'm sure if someone goes to a lot of shows like you, especially Warriors, it's pretty cool that you could see someone grow.
Yeah.
Chachi, I want to harp on Chachi. He hasn't grown, but I feel like Michael Massacre. He's grown leaps and bounds in Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, JCW, I haven't been there yet, but I'm sure you see guys that, like, oh, I don't get it. And then finally you start to get it because they do improve and get better or begin to make a connection with you as a fan.
Michael Massacre is everywhere. Everywhere. Anytime I see a New Jersey promotional poster go up, it's Michael Massacre's on it.
That's great because he's actually a good wrestler and he deserves to be out there as a worker.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you used him as an example because he's one of those guys that grew on me. The first couple shows I went to Warriors, I was like, yeah, he's got potential. I was like, but his timing is off. But then I started seeing him at JCW and Superstars, and before you know it, I was like, wow, this guy's everywhere, and he's on his game. But again, that all boils down to he didn't rest on his laurels. He didn't say, you know what, I'm good enough. He busted his ass. He worked on his craft. He gave 110% to training, and he improved himself. And that's why I always say, I said this earlier, is like, always wrestle like somebody's watching, because if not, the one time you decide to be lazy, that's when they will be watching, and then you just ruin your pretty much your wrestling career. Oh, what happened? Did we lose them?
No, we're here.
Oh, all right. I heard a beep. I thought I lost you guys. But you guys, I see you guys go to a lot of shows. Me personally, I do a lot of shows, and actually there was a beep. I lost Nick.
Oh, well, do you ever get tired of wrestling? Do you ever go off to too many?
Do I ever what?
Do you ever get tired of going to too many shows?
Nah. I enjoy it. I mean, I'm all over the place. I mean, I was just in Wharton, New Jersey on Friday for D2W. I've gone down south to watch Valkyrie, On Point, Old Time Wrestling. We do JCW, Warriors. Let's see who else we got. We do. It's us. CTW's coming up with their first show in April, and I'm forgetting one. Of course, I'm gonna have to apologize to whoever it is I'm forgetting. But I enjoy it because you get to see some, not everybody wrestles up and down the East Coast, not everybody's Joey Janela or Too Hot Steve Scott, where they wrestle from here to Ohio down to Florida and back. So sometimes you're only going to get to see these guys at those certain shows, and it's kind of worth it for that one match. And like I said, if the promoters are welcoming us there and they're giving us a table, and we're able to cover their product, do a recap for them on the show on the next Sunday, and they appreciate it. They'll send us audio promos. We'll play it during our commercial breaks. We try to help each other out. I'm not here for the bank account. I'm here to help independent wrestling, because in the long run, and you guys know as wrestling fans, without independent wrestling, nobody's watching WWE and NXT. There's no such thing.
Well, it's completely true.
So we got to support, and we got to promote, and we got to strengthen up.
Well, I think the two are interrelated. It's a constant back and forth. Mm-hmm. The indies provide the schools and the launch to get there. And the indies are also the reborn again way of doing a fire release that can make a name now, wrestling, even more money. So it's really a two-way street, I think, between the indies and WWE.
But also it's different theories. When you get tired of one, you can go back to the other. When you're tired of the television product, you can find what else is out there, the alternatives, the interesting things. And then when you want a big show with, you can go back to mainstream wrestling. Mm-hmm. So it's good that there's variety out, and unfortunately, right now there seems to be an indie boom, but then it becomes worrisome with WWE expanding perhaps into the indie realm as well.
Yeah, I agree with that, and a lot of times WWE, they send people out to take a look at people. They invite them into Florida for to try out and things like that. But I just feel that they don't do enough of it. Obviously we only see what they allow us to see.
Right.
But I just feel, just from people I know and conversations I've had with Eugene and Bruce Pritchard, and they don't do enough of it. Like, they don't dip into the talent pool enough. They rely too much on their inside personnel to recommend people instead of if you go baseball wise, they're not sending enough scouts out to scout that pitcher or that catcher. They're relying too many on people at home